When my people left the South after the Emancipation Proclamation and after Juneteenth, many felt like Chicago was the promised land, only to be met with new forms of oppression, black codes, Jim Crow. I was born in 1978, so my generation had to survive the war on drugs. This was a war on black communities. I lost friends starting in 4th grade. We were all systemically oppressed. We were all in the trenches. This was a war that took most of the men and placed them in prison and left the women and babies to figure it out. Today, I teach courses on justice at Hamline University in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm a community organizer and have facilitated hundreds of circles across jails, prisons, and communities throughout this nation. I've even worked in the mayor's office. But long before any of this, I was simply branded as inmate 204956. Today, I'm going to share with you how we made a way when there was no way and what you can do to create safety and accountability in your community. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, the threat of cops, courts, and cages was ever present. And in 1994, they implemented the crime bill. My mother's safety plan was to send me to Waterloo, Iowa. My cousin was sent to Atterbury, Indiana. And a lot of my closest friends and relatives came right here to North Minneapolis. I don't know a life without thinking about safety. I managed to graduate with the class of 1996, and I dodged the school to prison pipeline. I threw a major party that night. I did. I knew I was going right back to the city of Chicago. Same place my ancestors felt was the land of the free, but this was the 90s. And we were viewed as super predators. My mom moved to a much better neighborhood, and I'm so proud of her because she defied the odds as a teen mom. So grateful for that. But for me, I thought with a high school diploma, I could easily land a decent job because that's what I was told. It was false. I ended up doing back-breaking work for pennies, and my self-esteem was shot. I couldn't understand how my reality led me to a dead-end job. Then I started hearing whispers that Minnesota was the promised land. I came here with some friends in 1997, and 3 months later, I was arrested for a firearm. That's when everything changed. That firearm was part of my safety plan. Someone pulled a gun on me and my friends 3 days prior, and I wanted to protect us. I broke the Second Amendment. I know that. I was 19 years old. I was a child. I had that gun to protect us. I'm accountable to the community for that. But when I was placed before the judge, all she saw was a tall black kid from Chicago with a 9mm. Nothing about my high school diploma. Nothing about playing 4 years of high school basketball. Nothing about running in the outdoor track and field event at Drake Relays the year prior. And there I stood, shackled, wrists to waist to ankles. I needed my community. I didn't need a cage. This gun offense led to other forms of black codes. I couldn't vote. I was placed on a gang list. Police were taught to proceed with caution. I was entangled in the criminal punishment system for nearly 20 years. And there I was. Couldn't find a decent place to live, couldn't get a decent job, slave again. This hurt my mom, this hurt the community, and we couldn't figure a way out. But I knew the ancestors were holding my hand. We are tricked to believe that justice is facilitated through a highly adversarial court system that views harm through a binary of victim and offender. Cops and cages do not make us safer. When I was 20 years old, I was a gunshot victim. I spent months in Region Hospital. I still got metal in my leg to this day. Even then, I wasn't seen as a victim. All I heard was, you must have done something. And today is more of the same. Police kill with impunity, but somehow I'm supposed to believe that they keep society safe. Probation officers violate with impunity, and correctional officers kill and violate with impunity. May Sandra Bland rest in peace. She was a 28-year-old black woman who was pulled over for failing a signal. And 3 days later, they found her hanging in her cell. These experiences made me question whether my debt to society could ever truly be repaid. But there is hope. Whenever they build walls, we build underground railroads. I want you to think about what you need if you are harmed. For me, if you're showing up for a crisis, you don't need to bring a bulletproof vest. You don't need a gun, a taser, mace, or handcuffs. I need you to show up with calm energy. So if you're showing up for one of your friends or family members, know your rights. Learn de-escalation. Practice your de-escalation skills. Learn mental health first aid. We can love and protect each other. We have the ability to do that. To better serve my community, I enrolled in college. I wanted to study the criminal punishment system. My academic journey was rooted in a thorough investigation of the criminal punishment system while actively keeping Black and Indigenous students safe on campus. I learned that this is Dakota land and Anishinaabe land, and in that, we found solidarity. I became president of the Black Student Union, and Chuck McDougall was my advisor. May he rest in peace. Chuck McDougall is a co-founder of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in the 60s, and he taught me how to mobilize people. Not only that, he made way for me to volunteer for Angela Davis in 2004. This abolitionist and educator showed us the way and how she took on J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. I'm eternally grateful for that sacred time. My first teaching experience came through Freedom School. Marian Wright Edelman believed in me, and I didn't want to let her down. All this matters because when I look at my life today, I'm humbled. I know most 3-time convicted felons don't get to see this level of redemption, and I want to inspire them. When I look at my family, my wife, she's a beautiful human, made me a much better person. And she's the best partner and the greatest mom. I'm eternally grateful to her. And my daughters, they are amazing scholars who keep me grounded in accountability every single day. I can't be 2 minutes late. I'm serious. But I wouldn't have it no other way. I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. I'm grateful. I needed my community. I didn't need a cage. I needed love and protection. I needed a place to think, dream, and experiment without probation and parole surveillance. I needed a place to learn my rights. And in that, I found who I was. The community repaired me when the system almost broke me. They shared their gifts with me, and that helped me find out what I can do to help others. So the big question for you is, what do you love to do? What is that big idea that you have? How do you bring that to all of the work that you do? For me, I needed to learn my rights. I needed to learn the Black Panther Party's 10-point platform so that I can know how to be a community organizer. I am so grateful for the people who believed that I could do something because I went from being inmate 204956 back to being Jason Soul, and I'm grateful for that redemption. Miriam Kaba teaches us that we must take the time to really think about what keeps us safe and what makes us feel safe. I want you to think about, how do you hold others accountable? How do others hold you accountable? Right here in Minneapolis, several abolitionists created a group called Relationships Evolving Possibilities. We are training community members to show up for each other in crisis. We've made a 10-year commitment to do this. Our motto is, we just want to love you to your next step. We have the power to do this. Identify your gifts now. Bring them to everything you do. You might be the one with an idea that is groundbreaking, that is revolutionary. For me, at 44, I'm still shackled to the state of Minnesota. Just last November, I was denied a pardon. So what that means is, if I'm driving down the street and I'm pulled over by the police, they're going to size me up based off things in my teens and 20s. I'm good, though. I've been pardoned by the people. Like I said, the community repaired me when the system almost broke me. They shared their gifts with me, and they showed me love, and that's what I needed to be who I am and do what I do to this day. Figure out what your gift is. Take time to hone in on that skill and bring it to everything you do. So what is that skill? Is it crocheting? Is it barbecuing? Is it gardening? For me, I still love the game of basketball. And while some of my skills may have diminished, I share with others what made me successful on the court and watch people live out their dreams. Because the system only creates more harm. We are able to uplift each other and really love each other like we're here and meant to do. I want to thank the ancestors and elders who paved the way for me to speak truth to power on this TEDx stage. Whenever they build walls, we build underground railroads. Thank you.